Get these other two on.
Okay.
The gram is going.
Okay.
Get rid of all these windows here.
Hi, folks. We want to give this a few minutes for some people to log in before we go ahead and get started with service.
Okay. Looking good. Hi, Instagram.
Hi, Instagram.
All right, TikTok's good too.
TikTok. Good to see everybody. Is this YouTube?
This is both. So
okay, YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
All right, welcome everyone. So we have everything
Yeah.
moving. Good. If you guys could give us a thumbs up, okay, let us know if you can hear and see us all right. That would be really helpful. From TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, if I could get one person at least to give a thumbs up on the volume and the image.
All right. Jill gave us the A-OK on YouTube.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jill. Okay, we have Debbie. What's Debbie on?
Debbie's on YouTube.
Okay. So again, if you guys could give us a thumbs up on the audio and visual from wherever you are tuned in, that would be helpful. I don't want to get started until I'm positive everything is working.
Facebook's good.
Okay, Facebook is also good. Thank you from Facebook. Jill, we're excited also. Excited to have you. Glad everyone could make it tonight. So what are we waiting on? TikTok and Instagram. If you guys could give us a thumbs up, let us know if you can hear and see okay.
Got some thumbs up on Instagram
Thank you.
and a thumbs up on TikTok.
All right, TikTok, Instagram, thank you so much.
All right.
All right, wonderful. So we are going to be having a service here tonight, our very first Roots Revival InterFaith service. So welcome, everyone. I'm so pleased to have you. We are going to be eventually offering these church services through a beautiful chapel that's inside an 1800s funeral home that we just bought here in New York State. But until COVID clears up, we are going to be doing this. Okay, so if you guys happen to need to log out, this will be posted, published afterward. And we will also be, where can they go to this if they want it as a blog?
So they can get podcasts if they go to rootsrevival.buzzsprout.com. So search us on Buzzsprout. That'll link you to all of them. We'll be up on Spotify. We're up on iTunes, Google playlists, or podcasts rather, and like probably 20 others that are too many to name. But check us out on Buzzsprout, and that'll link you to all of them. So they should RSS feed to just wherever you go. So check us out.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, Paul. So now Roots Revival, but because this is our very first service, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about, who we are and what we are doing here. So our mission statement is to normalize intuition. Our vision is to normalize intuition through the reconnection of our authentic roots, spirit, and intuitive intelligence to evolve ourselves, but also to be able to heal others. Our values, we are following universal order. We understand that there are three truths. That is intuitive intelligence. I will be covering that mostly. That is psychic, mediumistic, and empathic abilities. We also look here at evolutionary astrology with Christina Del Rey, our Reverend, and numerology with Danny Johnson, our other Reverend. And we have Paul Casey Healing Arts, who kind of covers everything. So the four of us will be coming together weekly here at 8 p.m. Eastern to offer a service. So through the study and application, knowledge of these three truths, We give the individual an understanding and awareness to develop character, integrity, and self-accountability. Every individual's path or life contract is their own, with an accumulation of past life and future destinies. Free will dictates where and how far we will go. We strive to keep individuals at their highest vibrations in their day-to-day lives, to become their best possible selves. Energy does not die. It only transforms, and the continuation of life after death shows the evolution of spirit through this process. So these are the foundations that we will be speaking on, delivering messages from spirit every week. Okay, again, I want to say welcome, Christina Del Rey, Reverend Christina Del Rey, our astrologer. Can we make sure your volume is okay? How are you?
I'm great. So happy to be here. This is very exciting. This is like breaking ground. This is a very new, innovative Aquarian age idea. So I think we have the perfect timing.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. And Reverend Danny Johnson, our numerologist, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and I'm also so thrilled and grateful for the chance to be here with all of you today for this amazing conversation, and excited to hear, to discuss how on this very day, numerology is speaking to us. I'm excited.
Oh, absolutely. And how are you, Paul Casey, Healing Arts, Reverend Paul Casey?
I'm very great, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here too. Especially with you three and everyone in attendance here. This is really a fantastic night, and I can't think of a better way to get rid of 2020 than to bring in this right now. And like Christina said, Age of Aquarius, so this is really cool.
Wonderful. Well, that hits the nail right on the head, because today we're going to be talking about alchemy. Okay, so I would like to lead in a short prayer. So if everyone wants to get comfortable, you want to close your eyes, you can do that. Whatever it is that you believe in, that's always welcome here. We are non-denominational. Holy Spirit, we thank you for being here with us today, for working within each one of us every single day of our lives. Please bless those that are here with us today, and help those that will be watching later on to be led to tonight's service at just the right time, so that we may all receive the message with open minds and hearts, to be strengthened on our journeys to fulfill our true paths in life, and to be a beacon of light and strength for others. Please send those who've lost their way to find us here. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I do also want to talk about, our church services are going to be quite different, probably than what you're used to. And we want to invite you guys to comment, to post your questions. Now, we may not be able to get to everybody, but Paul is magnificent with technology, and he'll be keeping track of the comment feed. So we want for our Sunday services to be more open in discussion, okay, and involving the members of our ministry here. So please do interact. And later in the service, we will be offering healings and prayers specifically. Okay, you don't have to post those now. If you want to wait on that a bit, I would recommend that. But questions and comments, okay, feel free. Now, today's message is on hardship. If you guys don't need this, I do. All right, this message from Spirit today is going to hit home for any of you who have lived a traditionally difficult life. We need to remember that those that come to Earth with a tall order, if you have big things to do, your life may be difficult from the get-go, from day one, problems and obstacles. We see this with great callings. Now, right now, so many people are suffering due to COVID and job loss, all the hardships that we've seen in 2020. And what we want to talk about is how to use alchemy to transform these hardships into something beneficial. So today's message is called Hardship, Friend or Foe? Okay, so why is it that some people seem to encounter struggles, pain, hardship, but they come out on top, bigger, brighter, better than they even had been? Why is it that some people go through such difficulty and seem to always turn it around and become kinder, more helpful toward others? And we see that some suffer endlessly. They wallow in the discomfort, they hem and haw on growth. There's a lot of stagnancy there, heaviness for long periods of time, sometimes even forever. Okay, you may know someone who went through a really hard childhood or circumstance and just sort of never came out of it. And unfortunately, these people who tend to get stuck will often drag others down with them. They can never be that beacon of light for someone else. So what is it about alchemy? Okay, when we talk about alchemy, we're talking about the transformation of matter, traditionally. In this case here today, we're talking about energy transformation from negative to positive, and understanding that we each have free will to do so. All right. So today we want to help you guys to use some day-to-day tools in being able to convert those difficulties to something more positive. So I'll get started, and then I want you guys to start chiming in on what your perspectives are on this, what has worked for you. So from my own life experiences, difficult childhood, a lot of abuse, being out on my own at 14, on the streets, constant difficulty, and also what I've seen working with my clients in the healing arts over the years, and also my students. I know a couple key things, and that is that every hardship we go through has a lesson buried underneath somewhere. I also have learned through unfortunate circumstances and trying to avoid it, that it is my responsibility to uncover that lesson, that no one is going to come and rescue me, and that no one can do that work. It is not only my responsibility, I've learned, but it's also my duty to apply that lesson to my life. It's not enough to just identify it and then it's over. You also have to renegotiate your whole life and change to work it into your new lifestyle. That's where the benefits come in. I also know that without doing it, I'm going to suffer. And that suffering doesn't have to happen. So that is a choice. I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to be empowered. If I don't look for the lesson and I don't apply it, I know that I'm going to lose my light, my prosperity, and my ability to heal other people. That's a given automatically. I also know that those that are going through hardship, especially with a lot of the circumstances we're seeing right now, job loss, disease, we have uncertainty in our circumstances. What does it mean for the future? We are humbled. And I know that when we're humbled, it has so much power in it to bring us to a better place, to bring us to a more humanitarian outlook. And I believe that that level of humbling creates better people. People that are more truthful and honest and willing to give, to be of service in the world. And I think that with everything going on right now, we're really going to see in upcoming years that we are better as a whole because of it, for those who work through it. And that the children who are witnessing it and experiencing this will be more mature adults with community-oriented mentalities. And I think we're lacking that right now in our world. And I do believe that that's part of the reason we're going through all of this. This is the awakening. Okay, so who wants to chime in on that?
I can chime in. So we started out, January 2020 with a Pluto-Saturn conjunction, okay? And that's basically what ripped everything apart. And it came in like a wrecking ball, right? And you mentioned alchemy, and Pluto really is alchemy. It's, taking lead and making gold, okay? So while we were, I think everybody was in a place where they thought they had some control, okay? And Pluto and Saturn came in and they said, no, you really don't. That's an illusion. You don't have control. So, basically, everybody collectively and like individually, we had this wrecking, we had this tearing down of structures in our lives, structures that we counted on and we thought we had control over. So once everything was burned to the ground, because we were all going through a Pluto transit all together, okay? And Pluto's karma as well. And really, karma really boils down to habit. What do we do with our habits?
Interesting.
So, you're bringing in habits from a previous life. So you're just kind of going along and you think you're doing great and you're not fulfilling your soul's purpose, what you came here to do. So Pluto's ready to knock you off your pedestal and say, no, you can't just do what's comfortable. So now, you get to rock bottom and you become humble. Everything that's superficial falls away because you realize there are only a few things that matter. So that's the breaking down, that's the learning, and that's the deeper part of it too, because you're supposed to be feeling deeply and thinking deeply and realizing what is important in life and reprioritizing. And, Saturn is saying, well, now you have to rebuild. So that's where I think, you're saying that people are going to, be better because of it. And it's not going to be without work, but yet it's going to be like you have no choice now but to have faith and go with your, to trust and go that way now. Like you thought you had control, you don't anymore. Now you have to follow faith.
It's about time.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Christina, the way that you just described that hard work, and Ivy, you describing the alchemy. When thinking about and looking at the numeric energy and numerology, every number has energy. And when looking at the year, the number and the energy associated with 2020, it was 4. And the number 4 represents hard work, diligence, self-discipline. It represents being willing to do the work, not taking the shortcut. This was a year when we were unable, no one was able to take any shortcut in order to accomplish and fulfill goals. There was a lot of hardship, and that meant people being having a lot of ingenuity, depending on one another, and really being willing to do the hard work and not labor faking, from an authentic perspective, an authentic way, being willing to do what was necessary in order to be able to survive and do well. And interestingly, I see this especially with parents who, for the first time, had to be like the teacher and the worker and like 50 other things at the same time. So you have folks who, are used to sending their kids to school who now are home figuring out e-learning, like 50 clicks on how to get a child. One of my dear friends had a schedule changed with her daughter and had a violin lesson, what was supposed to be a math lesson. And it was like literally having to create a schedule for yourself. Like being self-disciplined was something I think in 2020 that, and my students as well, saying, I'm not able to physically go to class. I'm on, all I have to do is go into the living room. I now have to create schedules for myself. I have to create a sense of structure for myself. So that was something very significant in 2020. And interestingly, in 2021, we are in the year of 5. 5 is all about liberation. 5 is about freedom. It's my expression number. It is, the person walking the path. It is being adaptable, freedom, and Christine, the way you were describing, like structures being torn down, and us seeing an unwillingness to go back, us seeing people being willing to step forward and saying, listen, we want liberation and we want it at any cost, and we're not going back. We're not succumbing to these systems. So that is something I'm really looking forward to. And Ivy, so The Alchemist, this is specifically for you. So today's number, numeric energy number, is 9. Your life path number is 9. And the 9 representing humanitarianism, being willing to self-sacrifice for the larger good, being willing to see a project to fruition. And the fact that this is right now a combination of all of the work that you've done, it is no coincidence. And you were very clear that today was the day that we started this, our Roots Revival service. And the fact that it's your life, like literally your life path number is the energy that surrounds us today. That is no coincidence. And the title of the book, The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho, like my favorite quote is, when we want something, all the universe conspires to making it happen. So the fact that your life path number is exactly the energy that the universe is giving us today is no coincidence. So numerology.
Well, I'd like to add to that too, because we are Mercury is meeting in the sky with Pluto, I think tomorrow, and Ivy's planet is Mercury. Really just goes together so well.
Christina, you froze up a bit, I think. Could you repeat the first part of what you just said?
Sure. So we have
Mercury tomorrow, and then it cut out.
Tomorrow, Mercury is going to meet in the sky with Pluto, and Mercury is your planet, and Pluto is the planet of alchemy. It's, transformation. But when you put the two together, it talks about like deep messages or deep meanings or very powerful meanings, very powerful messages. So I would like to say it just kind of goes along with what Danny is saying, that it's not a coincidence.
No, I would say not. And I did not know all of that. So, to our, followers here, we each sort of focus in our own key areas here a bit. So I don't know a ton about astrology, and I don't know a ton about numerology. These, girls spend many, many years working on that. I've sort of stayed in my lane with the psychic and the mediumship and the empathic. But this is why we have come together to create a brand new religion based on numerology, astrology, and intuition. Because listen to just even that, how I had no idea. This was Spirit's way of coming to me and saying, after 10 years of working up to building this church, you're going to start on January 3rd. This is exactly when it needs to happen. I did not know that. So there it is again. When we are destined to do something, it is written in the stars. It is written in the numbers. It is written in your gut and in your bones. It is part of your path. And this is just a great example of that, because we couldn't have even made something like that up, right?
Well, and I think that it's important to point out that that's why we're doing this, because there's messages everywhere that people miss on a daily basis. Like, you're getting constant psychic information. You have no idea, and like, how many times do I grab my phone and I'll say, Ivy, I just saw this. What does it mean? And she'll tell me, and I'll be like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. And then I'll connect it to something in astrology. So people are really missing this.
Yes, they are missing it. And people would prefer to say that they have health problems or even mental health problems. And I'm not saying these things don't exist, but often at the root issue, we are overlooking some of these intuitive messages that are coming in that can cause similar physical, mental, emotional effects. And we have chosen to turn away from any alternative. And it's left us in a place my cat, Jesus. It's left us in a place where we are looking, I think, too much to the medical field. I think too much to old traditional ways of thinking and training, whether it be in the school systems or with traditional religious systems. We need to get back to our roots. I believe that everyone is tapping in to this information all of the time. And just like Christina said, we're overlooking it or we've blocked it. We've been trained to, and we need to open back up. When we get in touch with our roots, this sort of hidden language, this abandoned language, we find health and balance and well-being. But more importantly, with what we're talking about today, the strength to go on, the strength to find purpose in why we're going through what we're going through.
Well, and it's not outside of us, it's within.
Right.
So we need to remember, like, we're always searching outside of ourselves for things, for medical solutions and things like that. But much of that, not that we don't need anything outside of ourselves, but much of the wisdom is within.
It's already in there waiting to talk to you, but people need to slow down and tap in.
That's right.
Yeah, and with that, I was given a reading, I think it was yesterday, and the gentleman came through and he was telling, his wife that she's chalking everything up to coincidence, and he's been putting these things in front of her, and he said, there's no such thing, and that's something I never would have uttered, years ago. I would have chalked everything up to it. So I'm 100% in that camp that used to do that. And now it's just like Christina says, you get something and you want to look it up and you're like, this means something. And I feel that a lot of people are waking up to that too because of these hardships and the perspective shift. I feel that people who never really faced hardships, that thought what they were facing was hard, they were just inconvenienced.
Right.
And so now they can actually see hardships, like with every day on the news. It was a new thing, and it was eye-opening, and if you couldn't relate to that, then what was wrong. So it really showed people what an actual hardship was, so that when they figured, oh, okay, I'm upset at my job, that's not a hardship, that's just an inconvenience, and then you can look to see really what is a hardship, so you can learn lessons from just your minor things, so that you can give more to those who need it, to get them through the help that they deserve, but to not waste your energy on things that you think are hardships, and just to focus on things like lessons that you would need, your actual issues that may be the hardships you weren't focusing on in your life. And really, it's all about perspective. And I think that this year was huge all over, from A to Z. Everybody saw a perspective shift. Right. But I do think that it did lead a lot of people to understand what hardship really is. And, if you've never faced them, you say, oh, how blessed am I? And what can I do to transfer this forward? And it's like, if you're changing from bad to good, how can you give your good out elsewhere if you already have it, and just kind of spread it around and keep it going?
And also, for those of you that are going through significant major hardships for the first time, maybe even, I see with a lot of people, they haven't had a financial hardship in this, in their family since like the Great Depression or something, of this nature. If this is the first time, you're going to find out how strong you are. And instead of saying, whoa, me, why me? How about, where does my newfound strength lie? And again, when I was talking about children, the younger people that are being exposed to all of this, again, I see them having an opportunity. Like when we think of people from the Great Depression, for example, how they like to save everything and even hoard everything, and they have gratitude for this, for the simplest thing. They appreciate everything. And it's a simplicity that we should all be tapping into. So whether you're going through it or not, watch and observe what's happening with other people around you. And I think it'll be a beautiful opportunity to see the younger generations growing up with that sort of humble attitude of gratitude for simplicity and a willingness to reach out to others, because I really don't believe that most people are good at giving unless there's some level of empathy there. People have to go through something to identify it, and we just haven't had enough. So I think this is a huge opportunity.
This year, especially like with that, the energy, like the invitation and almost the necessity to have to work hard, in that spirit of, folks who may have struggled for the first time in a very long time. There was a coming together of folks, even when folks were tired. All of us, I think, were really spent, but we just knew that there was a higher purpose, and that when someone was in need, there was a response. There were folks who would get up on Saturday mornings to help to package food to be able to distribute them to folks. There were calls for systems to be broken down. And even when folks were emotionally and just spiritually depleted, there was still this drive to keep going. So this ethic of hard work is something that I think is definitely leading us into this next this new numeric energy, but this recognition that we can't do it alone. We literally cannot. And
I'm sorry, Janie. I think that adversity always brings us closer to source as well, divine source, whatever you believe in, God, whatever you call divine source. And Pluto, putting us at rock bottom sort of makes us forced to connect with source. And I think what we're doing here today is just using extra tools to connect with source, just to, because like we said, we have lost that. And if that can help other people, or that can help, the generation coming out of this, and make a better world, more world of equality, it was worth it,
And I think it's so important to remember that the signs are all around us. We go inward. We need to learn to be introspective. And if you are going through difficulty in any way in your life, any kind of pain, or even if you're just one of the people we spoke about who has a tendency to feel entitled, or you're used to level jumping, you've never had to do all the hard work. I mean, this is going to be a meeting place for you. And it's important to remember that the answers are inside you. Stop looking outward for everything. Don't look to other people. Don't look to your situation or circumstances to change. But when you are really ready to receive the lesson, the tools, the answer or guidance or strength, you will see that everything around you is working within that system. I like to say humans are the mouthpiece for God. Mm-hmm. So it'll come through others. It'll come through, again, numbers. If you're lost in your life path, you can get a life path reading. You can get an astrology chart done. There are ways to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And it's really our denial of those signs that keeps us stuck. So we have to let go of things like skepticism. We don't want to have faith that there is something bigger than us working with us all the time, because we're coming from a place of ego. We're coming from a place of fear. And so that means that we have to control everything, and we have to create our own solutions. And if they're not showing up, we're just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. This is no longer the way. It is sort of like this way or the highway. It's like we have to open up to more, to truly recover, and grow from all of this. And I think that for those that are really struggling with that sense of discomfort in all of this, it's like you're going to crawl out of your skin. You can't take it anymore. You have to start with getting comfortable in the discomfort. You have to start accepting what's going on. Stop trying to run out, whether it's, drug use or alcohol or just escapist tendencies, avoidance issues, whatever it is. The first part to all of what we're talking about here today is to sit still and to say, I'm okay in the moment and I'm ready to get started. We can get the upper hand on all of this and not feel as though we're just being washed up in the waters, but we have to accept where we are. We can't start that inner journey until we can accept where we are.
I agree. I think that, the first step is being mindful. Counting your blessings every day, especially when you're in a very tough situation. It's always great just to make a list of things that, the blessings that you do have, even if it's just a cup of coffee or something like that. If you start with an attitude of gratitude, I think that helps. I do believe that Pluto makes us more, because it puts us, it tears everything apart so we can rebuild it. I think we come from a place of authenticity more. So it's important to come from a place of authenticity and realize that you can only control so much, and then you have to surrender to a higher power.
That makes a lot of sense. I do want to, I want to stop at this point because we are at about the halfway mark. I want to invite anyone who has a special prayer need or any type of a healing, whether this be physical, mental, emotional, any type of a healing, feel free to start putting your prayer and healing requests in the comments. At the end of the service today, we will be collectively praying over you for that. Okay, Paul, at this time, we'll get to any questions or comments. I also want to invite anyone who would like to donate to the Roots Revival InterFaith. You can do that. Where would they do that?
It's on YouTube. It's under the chat. There's a little dollar sign next to the emoji, so you can do that right there.
Okay, very good. So we're just going to take a minute for you guys to start posting your prayer requests, your healings, give donations. And in the meantime, do we have questions or comments coming in on what we're speaking on today?
Nothing other than really they're saying the great points, and everybody's really happy that this is happening. I see, I love this, and yes, a lot of people really, really into this. It's great to hear. I think the honesty. A lot of people are saying they tuned in. They said, "I'm glad I found this," and that's, I think, really perfect. And like what Danny said, it's like the 9 was destined. It was all meant to fit, and they hit here for a reason.
Absolutely. Okay, beautiful. Thanks for the donations, guys. I can see them coming in. While you guys go ahead, I want to give you a minute here to keep posting your prayer requests and your healings. Again, we will be collectively praying over that at the end of the service today. But I just also wanted to, add to this that so many of us have had trouble finding a home, whether it be in, the religion that you were raised in, your social group, whatever, your church. It's sometimes really difficult to find your own place. And I just want to remind everyone that here we are non-denominational and we are our own religion. We are trying to get back to what's been lost in the everyday that really is far more simple than we tend to be told that it is. So if you find yourself struggling, you're not really able to find your place in your religion or with the teachings and the studies that you've done, or even with your spiritual work, you just feel like something is missing. I just want to encourage you guys to continue to come back every week, because sometimes you don't need another typical sermon. You don't need to read up another book on it. You don't need, more crystals. You don't need to go and get another certification. Sometimes you just need to sit still and be in the company of the like-minded and allow for the flow of energy to come, okay, in a more healing way. And things will piece together for you. And that's just something that, I'm praying on with this ministry. Did you guys want to add anything else at this time to alchemy, how to convert hardship into an actual level up in our everyday lives?
One thing when going through hardship and knowing that things will get better, but that I need to get through what I'm going through. You spoke, I think we all spoke to a certain extent about the ancestors. Like, our ancestors have been through so much, And there's this term that that resonates with me both as a medium, but it just in life, is muscle memory. Like the things that we've gone through, some of what we're going through right now, we ourselves may have gone through in past lives. So when there are moments where we feel almost in inexplicable calm, even in the midst of a storm and chaos, it's because we may have dealt with something similar to what we're dealing with right now. And the power of community, because we spoke about tools and resources before. A way that I might deal with something might be of benefit to someone else, and another either coping skill or a way of being able to get through is something that I can benefit from. And I love when Christina spoke about that vulnerability, because when we're able to share, let our guard down and say, this is what I'm going through, and not feeling like we have to pretend that we're okay. And I think you posted something at one point where it's just like, it's okay not to be okay. This was the year of it's okay to not be okay. I'm falling apart and I'm not quite feeling right. I will get through it, but I'm given the right to be able to sit in this right now. And when we show up for people, when we show up for the folks that we care about, we sit in it with them. We don't try to solve it. We simply are. And we just allow ourselves to be. And loving that analogy of like the no coincidence in terms of numbers and numerology, like the ancestors and the angels and our guides. When we pray on something and we're intentional about asking for guidance, and our eyes are diverted directly to our phone and we see a triple number, 333, 555, 222, or we are asking for something that we really might need, and all of a sudden we see a certain number pattern repeating over and over again. Those are not coincidences. Those are that is the language of numerology coming through and offering us healing and showing us how to get through it.
And I think that, like Danny was saying, if you follow the signs, it will lead you down the right path. You just got to know what to look for. So, pay attention to the signs, realize where you have power and where you don't. And where you don't have power, you're surrendering it to a higher power, whatever or whomever it is that you believe in. But, like both Ivy and Danny said, make sure that you sit with it and you feel it so that you can get through it, because to get through something, you can't go around it. You have to actually feel it and go through it. There's no going above it, below it. Like, you have to go through it. And Pluto, we were talking about Pluto. Pluto is really, in hard aspect, it's going to hell and then coming back out. So, it's like descending into hell and then coming back out and then descending to heaven. So that's important to know that you can't get to heaven.
Yeah.
You can't get to heaven unless you go through the hell.
No, and that's life, right? And so we live in a world where many parts of the world, here in America especially, it's like instant gratification and entitlement and dog eat dog, and you don't have to do the work, you can level jump and this and that. That's not working anymore. So I believe in that switch. The head will be the tail and the tail will be the head, and that we're going to see that in this upcoming year, thank God. But I also wanted to say, sort of playing off of what Danny and Christina said here, all of that healing, all of those signs and that validation that you're going in the right direction and you're doing the right thing and that you will be okay, it's not going to help you much if you're surrounded by negative people who keep telling you you're wrong, that's not true, don't look at that. I have been so saddened in my personal life and with all of my clients, all of my students, everybody, in 2021 especially, to see such an increase in division between people who are choosing to either go to the light or who have dug in and are going to stay feeding the darkness. And it's been so sad to see friendships and families torn apart. And I think that it's really important to remember that if you continue to keep yourself embedded with people who have toxic mentalities, who will convince you or try to hold you down, that your growth isn't real, that your ancestors, your guides, your angels, God in the universe supporting you isn't real, you're really making it a lot harder on yourself than it has to be. It's a high likelihood you're going to stay stuck if you keep turning back to those people. So you are going to have to set some boundaries. Maybe not all of you, but many of you. And you have to watch for those attacks that come in when you least expect it. Maybe you do see a number pattern popping up. Maybe the astrology is working in your favor. Your ancestors have just reached out. Things are about to go your way. And with every new level, there's a new devil. All of a sudden, those in your inner circle that are closest to you, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, your best friends, they start to attack you and sort of cut you down and make you think twice about where you were headed. You are going to have to learn to think for yourself. It's not enough to identify these things. We have to, again, apply these things. And you never make it to that second stage unless you can hold it. And like Christina said, sit with it.
And just have faith, know that it's really hard right now, but it's not going to be hard forever. So just have faith that you're going in the right direction, because that's what it's been for me. Like, I've had to say, you know what? I don't have control over any of this now. Like, now I thought I had control, but I don't. So now I just have to be in faith. I have to walk in faith and do what I think is moral and what I think is just. And I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect, and we certainly don't claim to be. We just are trying to do our best.
It's like tearing off a Band-Aid. You just got to do it. Just get it over with and dive in, to the work.
And boundaries are key. You're so right about that. Like, you cannot let somebody take your power. Once they take your power, then respect is gone. And, you can't allow that. You have to put those boundaries up and respect who you are.
Well, and I just also wanted to add that for those of you who are struggling off of some of the things that Paul was talking about here, especially where you're recognizing what real hardship is. Like, you used to complain about your job, you thought it was awful, now you're thankful, or you would do anything to have it back, or, you recognize that real pain and aggravation is something very different than what you thought. I also just want to make note that sometimes that discomfort is a motivating factor. Not just to turn you toward gratitude necessarily, but to make you awake and aware that you have been somewhere you don't belong. So the other thing I'm seeing with everyone right now is that they're being called into different lines of work. People are being called to, fulfill a new level within their life contract. We are being called to do things that we have sort of been passionate about in the past, but probably buried. And whether it be to just make sure you had a paycheck and you could pay your bills, or you just thought, well, it's too late now, I don't want to start something brand new. Whatever the case is, this is no longer an option to stay stagnant. We have to go with what the calling is on our lives. And there are so many missed talents, so many missed, trades and abilities and gifts. And people have just stayed so mainstream for so long. And we're finally being woken to that. So if you think that what you're being called to do seems a little crazy or out of sorts with what you did in the past, it probably is. And you should probably, if you are feeling that passionately, ask for the signs that you're going in the right direction and then move. But you've got to take that first step in order for the universe to reward you and show you what the next step will be. It's one step forward. That's all it really takes.
It's very scary too, but I think that that's another gift of 2020 is that it forced us to move about in the world in a way that we had never moved before. Like, we didn't have a choice to be afraid anymore. We just had to sort of do it, do things that we would have never done before. And I think that that's part of the lesson that we have to learn to integrate in 2021.
I love that. I just want to say too, one more thing, and then we'll wrap up with, last comments and then get into prayer and healing here. I just want to remind everyone who's watching that there isn't any hardship that you go through that isn't meant to be used for something bigger. And so whether you were born into a family of abuse or neglect, a system of abuse or neglect, or you were born a minority or marginalized or female, or I mean, whatever the case is, if you're going through hardship, you know, for the first time in your life right now, like many are, we all are in the same boat. And it's always an opportunity for you to get through the hardship and be able to heal others and lead others. I don't believe that there's anything really difficult that we go through that isn't for others to be able to either avoid or to get through their own journey with it. And we have to see the bigger picture. The more hardship, the more call on leadership on your life. That's just how it is. That's the law of the universe. So it's important to think bigger. It's not bad luck. You know, you're not being punished. You are just being primed for your leadership position. Okay. We have last remarks on today's message before we get into prayers and healings, you guys?
One, I think, last message just for today is this concept of work. When we were sent home, when we went into quarantine originally, that was a time when folks were forced to look at themselves, myself included, for exactly who we are. And I'm a person, I thought I knew myself. I went into quarantine and I sat with myself, and there were things that I learned about myself, things that I thought that were healed, that were not, and aspects of who I am that I am quite proud of, but I had just overlooked. So this has been an opportunity to really, for all of us, to figure out who we are and to really understand the essence of who we are. And that leading us into this liberating new year, us knowing ourselves, like that's empowering. That is incredibly empowering. And like you said, for us to follow our life path, to follow our life's purpose and what's in our life contract, like that is just absolutely meant for us.
Our big timeout chair. 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody is coming out of 2020 not transformed. So it's like, you know, I really was in a safety net. You know, I felt safe. So I was coasting, and this forced me to stop coasting. You know, and I didn't like it. Who likes that? It's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable, but there was no other choice. You know what I mean? Like, it's either lay down and just give up, or you figure it out. And sometimes you just have to figure it out. So that's, I mean, you know, and you know, nobody likes that. And, you know, we talked about how people showed their true colors in 2020, and it was very upsetting to see, but all in all, at least it's authentic. You might not like it, but at least you're seeing it for what it is. And now you can deal with it.
I like that. We really have to stop saying, well, people have disappointed me. Well, people continue to disappoint me. You know, sometimes you just have to say, look, you know, I'm ready to move up to the next level in my life. And every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. And so whoever's not going with me, just show me, you know, and if it's being shown to you, it's a way for you to protect yourself. It's a way for you to continuously grow. You cannot take everybody with you.
Yeah.
That is not how the world works. We have to let go. I mean, yeah, that's been a huge part. Did you have something else to add to this too?
Well, I just wanted to add a little bit to what you said about, you know, building and transformation and stuff. I was given a really good image today of, you know, someone carrying a big rock, like a weight. Okay. And so you have really three options. You can continue to carry it, or you can let it go and be free of it, or you can put it down and use it to build off of, like build your house. So it's like everything you have, you can, you know, you can be free from, but at what cost? You know, you don't get anything out of it. You've carried it around for all these years, and then you just drop it, you get nothing out of it. Whereas, like you're saying, you know, build from it. So if you take all of this, you know, discomfort or hardships, which, you know, and you're able to get past them and utilize them, you can build something really solid out of it. And all that is not for naught, like a lot of people just try to get free of something just to not have it anymore. And, then you've suffered with it for X amount of years and you don't get anything out of it.
And it'll come back.
Right. That's true. It'll
Because things
repeat
cycle
until
It
you
will
learn the
return.
lesson.
Until you learn that lesson.
So that's, and I think a lot of people, hopefully when they made their perspective switch, they could see that, okay, here's how I can use this, and here's how I can move forward and not have just really wasted it. Like I said, have it come back a second time.
Well, people wonder, what were you going to say?
I think it's important for people to realize that, it's okay to make mistakes too, as long as you keep learning. You have to realize that you're always learning. Nobody has all the answers.
That's right. So yeah, for those of you who are listening and you're like, that happens to me. I have a cycle. Every time I go out to date, I date the same person over again, or every job I get is almost a spitting image of the last job, or, I'm always attracting this particular situation or that particular situation. It's because you haven't looked at the lesson yet. And I love what Christina just said about, right? And that's what we're talking about today. Find the lesson and use alchemy to convert it into power. But it's also what Christina said. And especially when we're talking about, Danny and Paul here talk about doing the work, applying it, trying new directions. You have to be willing to take a wrong turn. We live in such a fear-based society and world. It's like, you think you're going to get a slap on the hand if you fail. So many of the achievements that have been made by great people come from so much failure. Be willing to humiliate yourself. Be willing to take a wrong turn. And at this point, so many of us could step out boldly because we don't have much else to lose. This is a huge opportunity, but in any circumstance, you have to trust that if you are genuinely trying to fulfill your life path, if you know intuitively that you are supposed to do something and you do it in good faith, if you take a wrong turn, the universe is going to redirect you. And anything that goes wrong can be used for good, or it may not even go wrong. You have supernatural powers to accomplish things when you're on path that you just don't have when you're fighting against the wind.
True.
Now, I know we have prayers and healings coming in here, if that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move this over here so we can get started? And am I going down the line?
Okay. Hopefully
Okay.
pull the thing out of the way. Okay.
Okay. So I know that we're probably not going to be able. Is this a touch screen?
Nope.
Okay.
Let me know. I'll move up.
Well, here, give me that mouse. So I know we're probably not going to be able to get to everyone, but know that, the prayers and the healing that we're sending are for everyone. We are including everyone. All right. Very good. All right. So I would ask you guys to join in with us, okay, with a healing prayer here. All right. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for being with us today. We ask that you bring guidance, clarity, strength, and healing to those that are watching, to those that we're looking over, to the situations that are concerning us. I want to start with Crystal, who's asking for prayer over her mother-in-law, Cindy, as she battles pancreatic cancer. Claiming that healing for Crystal and Cindy. We're praying over Ashley, who needs healing for herself, her fiance, and her son. Claiming that for Ashley, her fiance, and her son. Prayers over Sherelle, who needs healing to get away from self-doubt. Breaking those chains of toxic influence, detoxing, removing those blocks from Sherelle. helping her overcome self-doubt. Praying over Vanessa, healing for her sacral chakra, claiming that healing for Vanessa, helping her to feel rooted and grounded and empowered. Prayers over Roxanne for her dad, who's struggling with health issues, claiming that for Roxanne and her father. Also asking for additional strength and wisdom, not only for Roxanne, but also for the caretakers who watch over her dad. Prayers over Lily, who is praying for strength to fight addiction. Claiming that for Lily, breaking the chains of addiction. Letting her see the power within and the support that she has from the universe around her. Prayers over Gabby and Jenna, for Jenna to find her soul and inner peace and recognize the blessing that she is. Claiming that for Jenna to see herself clearly, to see that she is a light, to see that she is here as a healer. And prayers for Gabby to have the strength to continue to show her. Prayers over Elizabeth, Kelly, and John. Pray for me and my family. Claiming that healing for Elizabeth, Kelly, and John. Caitlin needs a prayer to help her break free from an abusive relationship and opening her heart to a higher calling. Claiming this for Caitlin. We ask that Caitlin stop being stuck in the past and toxic cycles. Help her break those chains so that she can move forward with what she's here to do. Prayers for JoJo. She needs a prayer for Brianna and Emily and their relationship with their father. Claiming that for them, that they may have greater understanding of one another. And understand how to properly apply boundaries. Prayers for Kitty 2, strength to leave my toxic mother. Prayers for her to have the endurance to follow through with what she needs to do. Prayers over Kat. She needs strength for her family and her 19-year-old brother who is currently in the hospital. Prayers of healing and endurance for that family, and also the wisdom for the aides, the nurses, the doctors. And for her brother specifically, to as quickly and painlessly get through this process of healing. Prayers over Ugly Duckling, 716. A healing for the physical and moving forward in confidence. Okay, claiming that Ugly Duckling can see oneself clearly, and be bold in moving forward in that. Prayers over Amy, that she can continue to identify and overcome blocks to be of better service to others. Claiming that for Amy, to see things more simply, to not overthink and negate what she's being shown. Prayers for the silly rabbit. Prayers for anyone experiencing loss and struggling with health problems. So this is a general prayer for everyone. Thank you for that, silly rabbit. Let's pray over everyone experiencing loss and health issues. Prayers for Christy Perales for her knee surgery tomorrow. Again, Spirit, we are asking for a nice, clean surgery, nice, clean recovery, and the wisdom of the aides, the nurses, the doctors involved. And prayers for Melissa, for her daughter and her disabilities that have taken her childhood away. We're praying for brighter days, for more acceptance, for greater knowledge of the lessons, what this wisdom is to be used for through their experiences, and for more simple peace and joy in their lives. I also want to claim healing over those suffering with diabetic issues. Claim it for yourself. Those suffering with diabetes. Those with lower back issues, chronic back pain. Those suffering with deterioration in hearing loss or vision loss, cataracts. Those suffering with digestive issues, especially lower intestinal infections or digestive issues. Those suffering with reproductive hardships, whether it be cancerous infertility, and those suffering with blood pressure issues and hypertension, anxiety. Claim the healing for yourselves. Okay. I want to thank everybody for being with us today. Okay, thank you. Holy Spirit, please strengthen everyone as we go forward and help us to be those beacons of light for others. Bring us back together here where we can be in community with one another, talking freely about the tools that you have for us to tap into our inner wisdom, our strengths, and our life paths. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And thank you, Paul Casey.
You're welcome.
Reverend Danny, Reverend Christina. Such a blessing having everyone. I'm so glad we have finally, after 10 years, begun this journey. And we will see you back here, 8 p.m. Eastern, next Sunday evening.